Greetings everyone and welcome back to yet again another video. In today's one we're going to be having a look at something that's a little bit special. This may be the most expensive phone that I've looked at on my channel, and I know with that I'm deviating away from really cheap products, but this product is something from a brand which I've already had a look at before, Umidigi. I think that's how it's pronounced anyways. A lot of people really didn't correct me on that one, but let's just go with Umidigi. But anyways, I had a look at the Umidigi Power 3 a couple of months ago, and it turned out to be a really good phone for the price. I was really happy with it, and I gave it a pretty positive review, and Umidigi actually posted my review on their Facebook page, so thank you very much for that, guys. And in turn, they contacted me and asked me if I would like to have a look at their flagship device, the Umidigi S5 PRO, and I said absolutely. Now, there's a couple of disclaimers I want to address before I continue any further. This will be a very in-depth review. This won't be a very quick one, obviously. You've seen the video duration. It's not going to be a short one. I'm going to be doing basically everything from unboxing to having a look at the UI, gaming tests, specs, all that sort of thing. Everything's going to be covered in this one video. And the second thing is, there is an affiliate link for this product down in the description and the pinned comment as well. For you to purchase this item, you can go through that link to purchase it, but you don't have to. Do not feel obliged to. It is just my own affiliate link from Banggood to go through there and purchase it. As I said, not obliged, just letting you know that it's there. And lastly, I will thank Umidigi a bunch for sending this device out to me, organizing it all. I really do appreciate it, and this is the absolute top of the line device that they currently have right now. As of the 6th of August 2020, it is on sale for $250 USD, which is about $350 Australian. The regular retail price is $350 US, which I think is pretty good because for that price you are getting a phone that's loaded with some pretty top tier specs. It's not absolute massive flagship, but it's priced decent enough to be, you know, a daily driver for basically everything. You're getting a MediaTek Helio G90T processor, which is an octa-core, 6 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage. You're also getting absolute bare bones stock Android 10, which is good. You also get a 6.4-inch AMOLED display, which is 2340 by 1080, which also has an under-screen fingerprint scanner, which would be absolutely cool to have a look at. You also get a quad camera setup, which is a 40 megapixel primary camera, a 16 megapixel ultra wide, 5 megapixel depth, and a 5 megapixel macro camera. The best thing about this though is the front camera, which is the 16 megapixel one, which is a pop-up one. So it actually pops up out the top of the phone, which I've wanted to see the mechanism of a cheap pop-up camera, so I finally have one to have a look at. We also have a very impressive 4680 mAh battery. It supports quick charge, 18 watts, so 9 volt at 2 amps. It is Type-C also. Unfortunately, this does not come with a headphone jack. We only have the Type-C port, which is a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. There's also NFC and pretty much everything else that you'd want in this phone except wireless charging. That's the only thing that does not come with this is wireless charging. As for worldwide support, it basically should support every single network around the world. Don't get me wrong, I could be wrong there, but the bands are shown on screen for you all to have a look at, but I'm fairly sure that it should be for pretty much everywhere all over the world. So let's go ahead and find out now if Umidigi's flagship offering can compete with other phones such as the Pixel 4a, the OnePlus Nord, and other phones of that similar variety. Also forgot to mention that one of the pictures for this phone in the listing shows that it has PC grade liquid cooling, so it does have a heatsink inside of it. So when we get to the teardown, it will be interesting to see how big that heatsink is and if it actually does help with heat dissipation for the MediaTek Helio G90T. Now, because I got mine sent to me directly from Umidigi from Australia, it only took a couple of days to get to me. So we'll go ahead, crack it open, because I'm really excited to see what this phone can do. I was very impressed with the Power 3, so I assume I'm going to be pretty impressed with this one. And cutting all the corners off will reveal that we have the Umidigi S5 PRO. Now this box will look familiar to a lot of you because this is the same box that the Umidigi Power 3 came in. The only difference is that it has the specs for the S5 PRO instead of the Power 3, of course. So if we just slide this out just like so, you can see that it's all steel sealed. Well, I hope it is anyways. And then we have the specs on the back there, which pretty much confirms everything that we have just already discussed with the bands and all that sort of thing. This is a dual SIM model as well, so you can have 2 nano SIMs or 1 nano SIM and a micro SD card. I'd honestly go with having dual SIMs in this because it's already got 256 gigs of internal storage, so I don't think you'd really need a micro SD card. I mean, you can if you want, it's up to you, but anyways. Alright, let's crack this open. And this is the thank you card that they always include in their products, which I always love to see. It's a nice touch. It just makes you feel appreciated for, buying one of their products and stuff, that they actually care. And there's a giveaway there as well. So feel free to QR code that, or see their Facebook pages or YouTube or something like that. Feel free. You might win a phone. And the device itself feels quite heavy, but we'll get to soon. Link to the world. There's our SIM eject tool, and then we have instructions as well. Thank you for choosing Umidigi products. That is all good. Included in this box, I have an Australian charger, but depends where you are around the world, you will get an adapter that is suitable for your country. But this does 5V 2A, 9V 2A, and 12V at 1.5A, which is quick charge compatible. But it is a Umidigi branded one, and it does have quite a bit of weight to it. We also get the 3.5mm headphone jack to Type-C adapter for headphones. We also get a red Type-C USB cable as well. But that is all that is included in the box. There's no reverse charging that's included. With the Power 3, you got a reverse charging cable. Okay, so during editing, I've actually decided to take the cable from the Umidigi Power 3 box and connect it up to the S5 Pro, and now connect it up to a Razer Phone 2, and it is actually charging. I'm not too sure of the charging specifications or anything like that, but I would say it would be 10W reverse charging, which is not listed anywhere on the S5 Pro specifications or anything. So that is also another welcome feature to add to the spec sheet. So put all that back in there, and go ahead and have a look at the S5 Pro. So on the screen protector that's on the device, we do have a quick spec sheet. It also comes with the case that's sort of a fake leather. Feels nice. It is good that Umidigi includes a free case, because any protection is better than no protection. There's a pretty cool looking pattern on the back there. You'll never see it, but you're seeing it now, so that's pretty cool. On the back is just a quick guide of what's on the back, the cameras, volume buttons, power buttons, and all that sort of stuff, revealing the all black color that I chose, which looks absolutely stunning. Look at that. Up the top, there's our quad camera setup with our 48 megapixel rear camera, 16 megapixel ultra wide, 5 megapixel depth, and then our 5 megapixel macro camera, as well as a quad tone LED flash, as well as a microphone. What appears to be a microphone anyways. But this is a glass back panel, and I believe the frame is made of metal, but I will have to double check that. Taking the front screen protector off just here, reveals our front of the phone just here. And it is pretty much basically all screen. There is no hole punch, no teardrop, no notch or anything, because our camera is located just up here in this little area. Just there is our pop-up camera, which I can't wait to test. Around the sides of the device, we do have a power button as well as volume rockers. On the bottom, we do have the speaker grills just there, our Type-C USB port, and a microphone. And around the other side of the device is the SIM card tray just here. It's at the bottom of the phone, which I've not seen that for quite a long time actually. So that's something different. So having a 6.4-inch display, it is a pretty big device. It's definitely not a one-handed device per se, and it's not the thinnest of phones ever. That camera bump is quite large. But look, I think for what you're paying, you're definitely getting something that does feel quite premium anyways. We'll check out the SIM tray as well. It's just one that holds 2 nano SIMs, or 1 nano SIM and a micro SD card. I'll populate this with a micro SD card. I know it's only an 8GB one, but it's got all my apps and stuff on there. And I'll just put a SIM card in. And I'll also point out as well that this phone does not have any waterproof certification or anything like that. It is just as it is, so don't drop this in water, please, because there is no rubber ring around the SIM card tray to protect any water from getting inside of the device. So you have been warned. Don't take this with you swimming if you plan on doing that sort of thing. And just to also quickly test, the back is made of glass, which is all good. The front has a screen protector on it already installed, which is great. And the sides of the device feel and look like plastic, but it seems to have a metal underlay. So we'll have to investigate that during the teardown. And with all that being said and done, it's time to power on the Umidigi S5 Pro and see how well this $250 device stacks up. So we do have a setup screen, which I'll have to go through. I also wonder if there's stereo speakers on this. It doesn't say anywhere, but I'm hopeful that there might be stereo speakers, but you never know. So let me go ahead and complete setup, and then we'll start going through what this phone has to offer. Alright, with everything being set up, this phone is ready to go. Alright, so it's been quite a while since I'd done the introduction of this video, but I have played around with this device and I've already done a standby test. I managed to get 86 hours of standby with Wi-Fi and SIM, with obviously 4G, and it dropped from 100% to 71% over 86 hours. So battery life is going to be great on this thing. Charging wise, it took about 2 hours. Once I dropped it down to about 5%, back up to 100%, it took about 2 hours to charge fully. So that's pretty good. You can also change the wallpaper. Every time you lock it, it will change to a very random one, and there's plenty to choose from. The operating system itself is basically stock Android 10. There is pretty much all of the stock apps that you would find, except it's not the full-on Android stock experience with the Pixel launcher. It is just like so. Very similar to something that you'd find on a Xiaomi device or Oppo or something like that. So very basic, but that is what I like. No bloatware or anything. As usual, the standard applications like contacts, clock, sound recorder, calendar, emergency alerts, which is always good because you just never know what could happen. FM radio will not work unless you have headphones plugged in, so you will need the Type-C to 3.5mm headphone jack in order to use the FM radio, which may be a minor inconvenience to some, but at least it will work. Notes will allow you to take notes on the device. Calculator, of course, will allow you to use a calculator. SIM Toolkit allows you to change between the dual SIMs and all that sort of stuff, but you can also do this within the settings menu as well. File Manager is also the basic Google File Manager, and that works pretty well. And then pretty much on the main screen, you've got Duo, the Google Apps Assistant, Play Store, and pretty much that's it. It is a very stock experience, and I quite like it. You can also choose a dark theme if you want to, or you can stick to the light theme. But it's a very beautiful OLED panel, and it looks quite nice, quite appealing with the high resolution, and I quite like it, and I think it's a quite reasonable display. Comparing it to my Oppo Reno 5G, for example, color-wise, I find the Umidigi S5 PRO to be more vibrant than the OLED panel that's on the Oppo Reno 5G. I do have dark mode on at the moment, but I can definitely tell a difference. This is more vibrant, and the blacks are very well, and contrast as well. You can basically see that just in this wallpaper. In terms of the functionality of the user interface, as I said, because it is stock, it is fairly smooth with the 6 gigs of RAM and the octa-core processor. You'll find that you will have no dramas using this for a day-to-day device. It will handle everything you basically throw at it. We'll be testing more of these functions later on in this video, such as gaming and doing some benchmarks to see how this will perform. This phone does have NFC also built into it, so you can use this to tap and pay and use Google Pay for all your fancy services and stuff, and the NFC location is just at the top of the device. Before coming into settings, I can just show you some of the other features that the phone has, such as a screenshot mode straight off the quick drawer here. You can just go into it, you can toggle dark theme, screenshot, alarm, calculator, flashlight, which is like so, and is very bright. A couple of things like night light, you can change it to that as well, and then back like that. Camera, screen recorder as well, which is always handy to have. Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. But in mobile network, you can see that we have a clear 4G signal, and that is full strength where I am currently. I found on some devices I don't get full strength 4G, whereas this I have full strength 4G. Some people may or may not ask if this is 5G compatible. It is not. It is only 4G, 3G and 2G, which you have already seen the bands listed for this at the start of the video. You will also find the bands in the product page as well. I've also called this device to make sure that calls and settings all work, and I'm going to demonstrate to you what that looks like. Okay, and now doing so, the sensor is located somewhere at the top of the device, like so, to do that. As for speaker works quite clearly, as you can hear. I know a lot of people had problems on the Umidigi Power 3 with the speaker issue, but I can guarantee that the S5 Pro does not have this issue, as I've called this a number of times, and there appears to be no issues with using speaker or using the Google Assistant, so you shouldn't have any problems. But call quality is quite exceptional, and that goes for the other end of the call as well. It is also very clear, so that is all good in that regards. Wi-Fi is using my 5 GHz network, which was no problems at all. You can do mobile hotspot and tethering, which is fairly easy to set up. Within display, we can see a number of different settings in display here, with brightness level, adaptive brightness, wallpaper, which basically will have all of the wallpapers that we've pretty much seen. I know the lock screen wallpapers are different to these wallpapers, but I do like these ones. There's quite a different bunch of them, whichever one that you may like. Oh, they look nice. Actually, that looks nice. I might set that one, actually. As I said, you can toggle dark theme on or off. Screen color mode, you can change that to vivid, cool color. You can slightly see it changing as well. We will come back to fingerprint, as we will have to test if this is an optical fingerprint scanner or a ultrasonic one. I would say that it would be optical, but you never know. Now, the navigation bar, you can change that to a gesture one, or you can have it as the virtual keys. I prefer it as virtual keys because I'm very old school, but you can change it to however you want it. I might change it to that, which may upset some people, but that is how I like it. You can also choose to hide it if you want as well. Coming to sound is the usual volume stuff here. We can also come to advanced, and there should be the sound enhancement, which we only have best loudness on this one. Touch vibration, touch sounds, all that sort of stuff. Nothing out of the ordinary with that one. Apps and notifications, we can actually come to see all of the apps installed onto this device, and as you can see, pretty much everything in here should be fairly basic. I don't think there would be anything dodgy going on, considering this is a Umidigi device, and they are 100% trustworthy. But I always like to go through the apps just in case there is anything. You know, people might tell me if there is something in here that may look off, but I don't think there would be, honestly. Most of the stuff is basic MediaTek things, and, well, we all know what they do. But I can keep scrolling through here, and if you want to pause and have a read of any of these, feel free. But I don't think there's going to be anything too concerning, to be honest. I mean, a lot of these I don't really know what they do, but no, I trust it'll be all fine. What's prize IMEI? I don't actually know what that is, but okay, that's fair enough. Rounded as well, rounded rectangles. Quite a lot of random stuff in here. Well, there you go. I did see the Android Q Easter egg at the top as well, which is quite good to see. And yeah, that's all of that. You can also check your screen time in here as well, in a dashboard menu, which I believe was introduced in Android 9, I believe, I could be wrong. Coming to the next menu, we have Smart Assistant here, which has a couple of gestures, such as flip to silent, smart answer, anti-fake, touch mode. Use the distance sensor to prevent misoperation of the phone in the pocket due to extrusion or fabric sliding. Okay, so it uses that sensor up here to detect if it's in your pocket or not. You can do a 3-finger screenshot, 3-finger skid, start split screen. Under the application of supporting split screen, 3 fingers can slide up and split it up. Let's try that, actually. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, so that would be how it would work, I would assume, the whole split screen thing. Okay, sensor calibration, proximity and horizontal calibration for the accelerometer. You can also do jump to camera, double click the down button of volume to quickly open the camera, so just a little shortcut thing. Coming down to battery, we've got 90%, and it does have a battery manager as well. Power saving modes and all that stuff are available to you, and battery percentage is also available at the top of the device as well. Within system, we have various other options here, such as the storage, which is 256GB, with my lonely SD card being 8GB. The default keyboard is Gboard, which is all good in that regards, and you can do accessibility mode as well to do anything you need to. Privacy just has, you know, permission manager, show passwords, all that sort of stuff that's obviously going to protect your privacy. Location, we won't go to that, but yes, obviously location is there. Security, we can come down and see all the security stuff, but as I said, we are going to test the face unlock and fingerprint. I'm pretty sure this does have face unlock. Actually, I may be wrong. I don't think there's face unlock on here because it would have to pop up. I don't know, but we can check that. So there's a menu called Smart Touch, which enables this little thing to come on screen here, and that works as a quick navigation gesture sort of thing. You can do a couple of things with it, single click to go back to the previous page and all that sort of stuff, so that's quite handy to have. Just reminds me of an iPhone 1. Accounts, I've already signed into my Google account, so that is all good. Digital wellbeing and parental controls, of course you can mess around with that if you don't want your kids to be playing around with a phone or not. We also have DuraSpeed as well, which is off by default. You can switch it on, but it's just basically stuff that just clears any background processes and stuff, so fairly basic. But in About Phone, we can come to see, here it all is here. Features, fingerprint, portrait mode, super zoom, AI intelligence technology, so it's artificial intelligence, but okay. Navigation bar and pop-up selfie, yes. Wireless update, I have tried to do a couple of wireless updates and nothing has come up, unfortunately. So I've had this device for about 3 weeks now, and it is still stuck on the 2nd of the 7th is the last security patch, which I guess isn't too bad. Coming down, we can see that we have the dual SIM card slots just there, and you can see my one is currently active with the signal strength just there with 4G, so it's all good. The brand is Umidigi, of course. Model and serial number, we have the S5 Pro with a unique serial number. RAM is 6GB and the internal storage is 256GB. And there is the details for Android 10 just there. The security patch level is actually May 5th, 2020. So that is quite old, unfortunately. But hopefully Umidigi does come up with a security update very soon. And as you can see, this is running Android 10. And we can do the Easter egg and all sorts of things to do things. I'm not really sure how this really works, to be fairly honest. But just believe me, it works. There is the keyboard if you just want to have a quick look at it. It's the standard G board. I'm just going to type in face unlock, and no, we don't have face unlock on this device. That's okay, you do have the fingerprint, so we'll go ahead and set this up. I'll just do 1, 2, 3, 4 as a basic pin. That is fine. Don't use this as your real pin, please. And of course, we're going to do add fingerprint. Now, obviously, because I have my lovely decorative band-aids on, this may or may not work. Actually, it may take some time, but judging by the light that comes up, it is definitely an optical one and not an ultrasonic one like the Samsung S10, S20, etc. This is still working quite fine. Okay, well that was fairly easy. You can choose the unlock animation to have an energy circle, rotate, or particle. I'm going to stick with the energy circle, to be fairly honest. Okay, alright. Off-screen display fingerprint. Alright, so we'll go ahead and lock it. So when picking up the device, the fingerprint icon will come up with the screen, and I'll just go ahead and do that. There we go. I'll just do that again. It's not the fastest one in the world, but it definitely does work. Even with just that small area of my thumb, it's still able to detect it. But it's just using a, basic optical one. As I said, it's not the fastest, but it will work. So now I guess it comes down to the pure functionality of the device, such as the camera, browser, YouTube, speaker, all that sort of thing. So we're going to go ahead and open the camera up. And there we go. There it is. I've already done the camera tests already with this device. And I do have a few complaints with the camera, but with this mode here, you've got the selfie camera, which I'll actually just go to the back camera first to show you everything going on. So you've got a couple of things going on here. You do have the option to toggle wide angle just like so, which takes a while, but it does work. And in the photo test, you will clearly see wide angle shots. We do have an AI portrait mode, and we also have an actual portrait mode. But this is a bit of a problem, and I think you can kind of see why. The portrait mode on this is not true bokeh. It is just a blurred circle. So one of the cameras may not be acting as a depth sensor per se, because I've tried it on the flowers outside. It doesn't really provide that true bokeh effect that is present on most devices with a secondary camera. Ultra HD mode does work. It does record in 4K, but only at 20 frames a second. It is quite choppy. And unfortunately, with normal video as well, you can only do 1080p at 30 frames per second. You cannot do 60 FPS, which may bother some people, especially with a phone that is priced as much as this. I mean, it's not expensive, but 60 FPS 1080p video is quite common on a lot of devices nowadays, so that might be a little bit iffy to some. We also have the Pro mode, which you can choose a bunch of different options and stuff. I didn't need to do this because the automatic stuff seems to be quite good. And then going into more, you can choose the different options there, like macro mode. The macro does work. It is a little bit finicky to use, but it does work. Slow motion, I did not test, unfortunately, but I would say it would be the same as what was featured on the Umidigi Power 3. And then switching to the selfie camera. Alright, so I'll just demonstrate this for a little bit. So, it is a very slow pop-up one. Does take quite a while to pop up. There is the usual feature built into it. Once it detects a drop, it will retract back into the phone, which is always good. And then you can activate it like so, and it's back on. The front camera does not have autofocus as well, it's just a fixed focus. The funny thing is with the front camera is the portrait mode will actually work as a virtual bokeh mode and will actually do a blurred background, whereas the rear camera doesn't do that, so I find that a little bit strange there. You cannot record 4K with this front camera, only the rear camera, but you can only do a couple of features like flash is just the on-screen flash. Selecting Pro mode will switch back to the rear camera. Selecting HDR will also also change back to the rear camera as well. So the front camera appears to be fairly basic in terms of that, but it still does record in 1080p, and the photos that it takes are quite reasonable. I want to just test the speeds of the pop-up camera. So on the left is the Umidigi, on the right is the Oppo Reno. Now there are a lot of phones out there with pop-up cameras. This is the only model that I have. This test will basically demonstrate how fast it will be to open up the cameras. So if we go back to the rear cameras like so, and now toggle them back up, you can see that the Reno is obviously faster. Umidigi does take some time. It is probably a pretty slow stepper motor inside of this, but it does work. At the end of the day, it does work. For me personally, I do like the pop-up camera, each to their own, I guess. So here's a point where I'm going to show you all the photos and videos that I did take with this device, including the very strange mugshot of me down in the bottom left corner there. So sit back and have a look at these test photos, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the functions of the camera after all of this. Just some video quality on the Umidigi S5 PRO. This is only 1080p at 30 FPS. 60 FPS cannot be toggled. This is not doing 60 FPS. That's okay. This still looks fairly good. Having a look at the sky and just down to some flowers and stuff. Do a close up. There we go. This is also with EIS on as well, so what you're seeing is any image stabilization on. Panning along the brick wall, like so. I find that it's not auto-focusing on objects very well. It's sort of just trying to focus on something, but it's not really doing it quite well. I have to toggle it continuously. But otherwise, like, it's not too bad. If we come down to Stewie, he's not really that in focus. So I've got to tap on him, and there we go. Now he's in focus. The lemon tree is basically back to being this big-ass lemon tree, and it'll probably need to go again. But as you can see, the colors are quite vibrant, which is quite nice to see. And then doing digital zoom on video, this is 8 times just here, and that is with EIS on. Testing front video quality on the Umidigi S5 PRO. And I don't think there's any EIS going on. No, there's not, and the exposure's going a little bit weird just there. Yeah, no autofocus. I can't focus on anything. It's just fixed, unfortunately. But that's my ugly mug up close. Alright, bumping the quality up to 4K now, which I think it's slightly struggling. Same autofocus issues as well, so I got to tap to make it focus. It seems to be struggling just a little bit here. Obviously my main review is going to be in 1080p, so you won't really see the sort of the full aspect of this, but I can tell you what I'm seeing while recording is quite laggy. It is still reasonably stabilized, but it's, yeah, as I said, it's still got the same issues as it was on 1080p. Except he's in focus a little bit better now. Having a pan for the lemon tree. Down to the lonely lemon. Yeah, and in focus. Now he is. So yeah, 4K is a little bit underwhelming, honestly. There's this bird just like flying around everywhere. There he goes. Whee! No, he's up there. Pretty sure his mum's with him. Someone went there. There they are. There we go, there he is. There's the second one. While I'm taking photos, that one there keeps trying to swoop me. Now that you've seen the photos and videos, I think you get a rough idea of what's going on. It basically uses the same camera hardware that was featured on the Umidigi Power 3, pretty much the exact same sensor, the same macro camera, I believe anyways. I believe it's all exactly the same, just in a different housing arrangement like so. But it all does work except for the dedicated depth camera that only comes up with, as I showed before, the blurred circle around, and even coming to changing the aperture size and stuff like that doesn't really change it much. I played around with these settings for a good 10 or 15 minutes trying to get it to work, and as you've seen in the photos just before, it only just produces that sort of circle around it. There was a few photos in there that did look fairly good with this portrait mode on, but as I said, it does not provide a true bokeh effect, as I thought it may have. As I've already spoken about, the video is only 1080p at 30 FPS, the 4K mode is 20 FPS, even some mid-range phones do offer 4K 30 FPS. So for the 20 FPS cap on 4K, it just seems a little bit rough on this device. I think it could have been optimized for 4K 30 FPS and then come with a 1080p and 60 FPS option, but I will check with Open Camera to see if I can toggle any of these settings or not. But otherwise, the camera experience was not too bad. I did take some fairly good pictures with it. It does zoom quite fast, and if you want to play around with the Pro mode to get some good photos and stuff, I'm pretty sure you can, but just be aware that the camera may not take photos that are on $1,000 flagships, for example. You are dealing with a device that's under $350 here, so you have to expect some compromises to be made, of course, but with the 48 megapixel sensor that is the main camera, it still provides a very decent experience from what photos that I have taken with this anyways. Now, the HDR settings do work. There was a couple of photos there that do use HDR and don't use HDR. There's not a lot of difference between them, but you may be able to see some slight differences. Night mode as well, I've also tested, and it doesn't really work as well as I would have hoped. You know, like night mode on the Google Pixel 2, for example, you know, that brightens up a whole room sort of thing, but whereas night mode on this really doesn't do much. It just gives an ever so slight red tint to the photo, and you can see some detail. I just found it easier to just turn the flash on and use that in a close proximity to take a photo in the complete darkness, so night mode's a little bit lacking. But I wonder if someone can port Gcam over to this. Might provide some better features, but I'm not too sure at this current stage in time. That was waffling on about the camera for about 10 minutes, so there you go. But I think that was the main point of this device, was the actual camera hardware. With all that out of the way, I think we should go ahead and open the browser and have a sort of rough idea of what the browser's like. So loading the Umidigi webpage. And we can have a look at the S5 Pro's spec page on here. It's taking a little while. So the S5 Pro at the moment is actually $199 US at the moment. That is actually quite reasonable, to be fairly honest. That is really, really good. And this is recording on the 28th of the 8th, which finishes today. But the usual price is $333 US, so it's not too bad. If we come to the YouTube test, we can go ahead and open up my Umidigi Power 3 video. Oh, it's a Wish ad. Wonderful. And taking the case off the device, we can see our quad camera setup there, and every lens looks different. Not one of them look the same. YouTube will work perfectly on this at 1080p. I will try a 4K video soon, but zooming into the video, you can have it as a full screen experience like so, or you can have it bordered as it is originally meant to be. So now I'll go ahead and play the 4K video as I usually do. I'll link the creators for this in the description below. Please check out this video. It's only a 5-minute one, but it does show quite a lot of detail for what it has. And as I said, it's a 4K video at 60 FPS. So unfortunately we cannot put it to 4K, but we can have it as 1080p, 60 FPS, and with HDR on as well. So let's have a look and see what it looks like. I've also zoomed in to give you a better experience overall. And that looks really, really nice. Hopefully you can see all the detail that's going on with this, but that is quite exceptional. I must say the inclusion of the OLED panel on this device really adds to the flavour of everything. The colours are very vibrant on this, everything is very smooth, everything's very natural. No complaints about the OLED panel. That is absolutely flawless, to be fairly honest. I honestly like the look and the feel of this OLED panel. It is definitely very, very, very nice. Almost sort of puts my S10 to shame, to be fairly honest. So it only seems fitting that we should do the speaker test after hearing the sounds from the YouTube test. I'll go ahead and get my sound meter ready, and we should be able to get a rough idea of how loud the speaker is on the unit. As I said, there is no dual speaker configuration, it is only just a single speaker, but it does sound quite loud, and we'll go ahead and test this out. So we got to 108.2, and the speaker actually doesn't sound too bad. It is a little bit distorted. It does kind of sound like it's a bit muffled, but it is quite loud, and this is at full volume as well. Bumping it down, that makes it much better. So obviously at 100% volume, it's going to sound a bit distorted. But no, 50% volume, that sounds really good. The music app that's default on this is YouTube Music. I thought it was Play Music, but they've obviously renamed it to YouTube Music because I really didn't know that that was a thing. So there you go. But no, that all does work, and 108.2 is a reasonably good result as well. So the next thing to do would be to do a gaming test. So the first game that I will want is Call of Duty Mobile. The next app I want to look for is Ark Survival Evolved, to see if we can actually play this, and we can. So this would be very interesting, because I know people have told me that it's very demanding, so this will actually be very interesting to see how this... Yeah, I've never played it before. So no, it's a first-person dinosaur shooter game thing. I really don't know, to be fairly honest. And we'll also put the Minecraft trial on here as well, just to give even game. I always try Minecraft on everything. I just put Mine Trail for some reason. That is perfectly fine. That is what it should be called from now on, Mine Trail. Should we put Raid Shadow Legends on it? I did so with the Umidigi Power 3. No, I don't think I should subject this S5 Pro to seeing Raid Shadow Legends. I'll also download the latest version of Geekbench, so we can perform the Geekbench 5 test and then compare it against the Umidigi Power 3. Okay, so we have all three games downloaded: Call of Duty, Ark Survival Evolved, and Minecraft. Also have Geekbench, Open Camera, and Google Play Games in order to run Call of Duty. Okay, so I've got Open Camera open. I just want to see if I can do 1080p at 60 FPS with this. So I'm pretty sure we'll see what it can do. Oh, it doesn't look like it's 60 FPS. Now, I just tried that video on my computer, and unfortunately it is not 60 FPS, so even with Open Camera, you're probably not going to be able to pull that 60 FPS out of this, unfortunately. I know that the camera hardware should support it, it's just a matter of how to go about it, so I'm not sure if someone can point me in the right direction of how we may be able to get that working, as well as 4K at 30 FPS as well. But anyways, I think what we'll start with first, gaming-wise, we'll start with Minecraft Trial, because I think that's the, most easiest game to run, I think. Okay, starting with Minecraft. Holy moly. Well, I believe that is an instant pass. I knew that Minecraft would be able to run on this, not a problem at all. I just like to run Minecraft on all my devices I test, just in case. Hey, how you doing, mate? No. No. You're on fire, you should be dead. Okay, mate. Well, as for Minecraft, it works absolutely flawlessly. I knew it would. It's much better than those Vulkan devices. I mean, as you would have expected. Next game I want to try is Call of Duty, because this is the next game that I usually test on a lot of phones, and this is the one that struggles quite a lot, so we'll see how we go with this one. Now, I will note at this point in time, I can feel the phone getting quite hot at the back. Now, I do have the case on, but if I go ahead and take the case off... Oh, it's very warm. Very, very warm. And that was just with Minecraft as well. I actually might keep the case off for this next playthrough. Okay, well there you go. That is pretty smooth. When there's more AI on screen, there could be a bit of slowdown. So I'll complete this tutorial, I'll go to the Nuketown map with bots, and then we'll see how that goes. Okay, with the Nuketown map loaded, we should be ready to go. So you can now see my horrible gameplay skills of Call of Duty on mobile. I was never really a big fan of the series, but it's always good to test. I'll just walk around and do some stuff. I really don't know if he was see my enemy. I have no idea. That's okay. But look, no, it seems to be fine with bots. It is extremely playable, and I don't think anyone will have any dramas with this whatsoever. I think the real question is Ark Survival Evolved, if that's going to run 100% or not. The graphics quality of this, I'm not too sure what it actually is. I just died, whoops. The graphics quality is set to high. Alright, so I've now toggled very high and max frame rate, so now we'll see how this goes. Ooh, a little bit stuttery. Okay, with everything in place, this is everything up very high. And I believe that is quite fine. So I'm glad it actually defaulted at high, which is good. I'm terrible at this. I'm very, very sorry. People are probably cringing at my terrible gameplay because I'm just walking around anyways. But I just really want to test the FPS on this. It seems to be very, very stable. It may look a little jumpy on camera, but I can assure you that it is quite smooth. Like a little stutter here and there, but nothing that will deter you from playing this game, you know, on a daily basis. So gaming is looking very good on this. Umidigi promised that it can game, and it's certainly looking like that. But the last test is Ark, so let's go ahead and load that up. And I've never played this before, so this will be an experience. This is it open. It's getting a little laggy. That's alright. Graphics quality is at medium. I'm going to leave that just for now. And we're going to go play Ark. We'll just do single player. That's completely fine. Alright, I guess that will be our character. Let's just spawn a new survivor. That will be fine. There we go. Alright. Wow, hey. Graphics, yeah, a little bit low, but that's alright. I will say at this point, the rear of the device is quite hot. But, here it is. This is Ark finally running on a device. I've never had the opportunity to play this on a device. I got close to one. What did I try it on? I think I tried it on the Umidigi Power 3 actually. Oh, there's a dinosaur. Hello, dinosaur. Hey, buddy. Oh, he's a big fella. Can I pat him? Yeah, I'll pat him. Oh, no, I didn't mean to do that. No. Oh my god, I'm sorry, buddy. No, I didn't mean to do that. Ah, no. Oh, he killed me. I guess I was asking for that. Oops. Now what happens if I come into settings and I put everything up to absolute maximum? Let's see how it runs. Alright, so the resolution scale is up to maximum. I mean, it's a little bit laggy, but that's definitely fine. I could see myself playing this, and I've never even played it before in my life, except for punching that poor dinosaur. So no, this is absolute maximum, and it works quite well. Ark is actually completely playable on this at epic settings with the resolution at the native resolution supported by the device, so I am very, very happy with the gaming test. Next thing I want to do is run Geekbench 5 to see the comparison between this and the Umidigi Power 3, because that is the second highest spec device that I've had a look at, and then this is the highest spec device that I'm having a look at, so that's basically what I want to compare it to. You can do a couple of Google searches online to compare it with other devices out there at the moment, but this is really just for my interest sort of thing, how it does stack up compared to the Power 3. So I'll go ahead and run the benchmark, leave it go, and see what it comes up with. Alright, and here are the results. 502 for our single core, and 1655 for our multi-core score. Just scrolling down, we can see the specs of the device, the MT6785V, which is the G90T processor, 6 gigs of RAM, and everything that we have come to expect from this. So I will display the results from the Umidigi Power 3 just here. And if I can find some other devices out there with a Geekbench 5.2 score that are in this sort of similar price bracket, I'll post them here as well for you all. And the absolute last things I want to do is just open Antutu Benchmark. I'm not going to be benchmarking, I just want to quickly see a couple of things within info just here. So in Antutu, everything seems to be quite fine and everything matches, but I just wanted to do a multi-touch test to see what we get. Ooh. 5-point multi-touch? No? 10-point multi-touch? 10-point multi-touch. Very happy with that one. And lastly, I've got device info hardware open up here to see if there's anything that I may be missing, and I don't think there's anything. Feel free to have a pause and have a read of what's going on in here. The system of chip, the G90T, yep, that is all good. You can see that HDR is on this device, 60Hz refresh rate, the 6GB of DDR4X, which was promised. The camera being the 48 megapixel one. It does say that it has 9 cameras supported. Fair enough, but no, that seems to be the one. Oh no, there's everything listed here. We've got a 16 megapixel for the front. The second one for the back is 5 megapixel. Then we have a 16 megapixel one and then a 5 megapixel one. So no, everything seems to be listed and I'm very happy with that. Battery capacity is there, 4,680 milliamp hours. We've got all the listed sensors. I don't know if all of them will be active or not, like barometer. No data from the sensor. And then pretty much after this, everything is as normal. So now I guess it comes down to a conclusion. I want to list the positives and negatives of this device. Well, there isn't a lot of negatives, and even if they are quite minor. I just want to point them out. I understand that you won't be getting the specs of something from, let's say, a $600 phone, but considering this is around the 300 USD mark, maybe less with all the sales I've seen online for this device, it is offering quite a lot of bang for buck. And this is just some of the things. Price range being the $300 US price tag, 1080p OLED display, the specs, as we've already mentioned, the battery and fast charging, the build, which very, very solid. Yep. Flexing from the front. A little bit of a crack there, but no visible damage done to it. Once we tear it down, we'll have a better look at the build of it, but it seems quite stable in that regards. The under-screen fingerprint, NFC, always a welcome thing to have NFC. Stock Android 10 with no bloatware or anything, always a great thing. Gaming-wise, absolutely great, better than I expected, to be fairly honest. A reasonably slim profile, which, yeah, as you can see, and I listed the dimensions at the start of the video as well, but it's a reasonably slim profile even with the case. And all of the included accessories, like the case, screen protector included, the Type-C to headphone jack, you know, something that a lot of manufacturers don't even include nowadays. You know, all of that is just really appreciated. The negatives, I guess, which is just stuff that I think could have been included, such as dual speakers, you know, using the earpiece as a secondary speaker would have been good, you know, watching stuff in landscape. There's your secondary speaker just there. The earpiece is loud enough to be a secondary speaker, but I guess it probably wasn't considered. I'm not too sure. The lack of the 3.5mm headphone jack, but, you know, since it has the adapter, it's fine. No wireless charging. You know, it would have been really cool to have it, but unfortunately doesn't include it. No water resistance level, but with the pop-up camera, I guess, you know, they couldn't really do that because how are they going to protect that with that sliding in and out of the phone all the time? The camera software is lacking and the depth camera isn't quite providing proper bokeh shots. But the main camera itself is quite reasonable. It's just, as I said, the 1080p, 60 FPS not being an option, and 4K at 30 FPS is also not there as well. Some of the phones at this price range may have that included. This definitely does need a security patch update, considering that it's still running on May. I understand the current pandemic and all that sort of thing going on at the moment, which may delay it. I just really think that it would benefit from an update, you know, because security updates are always important, and I believe that this should get one. I'll ask Umidigi and see when they plan to release an update and let you guys know if that's going to be coming soon or not. As I said, the negatives are pretty minor, and I'm sure most people could overlook that sort of stuff. Coming from a consumer point of view, for the price range, it's not a Snapdragon, but most consumers aren't looking for Snapdragons and Helios and Qualcomm and all that sort of thing. They want performance, and what is going to last them. And the S5 Pro seems to be a good winner here, and I'm definitely a fan of this. If it doesn't get an update and the camera software does get fixed, then I do see a definite huge potential with this device. This is all my opinion. I'm not being paid to say great things about this. I genuinely am very happy with the performance, the experience I've had with this device. And if you're in the market for something with some decent guts in it and battery life, you may want to look at this. I'll have a look around and see what other phones are kicking around at this price range. I have seen quite a lot of networked locked devices selling for about $200 Australian, and they're pretty low end, whereas this is pretty high end. If you're going to be spending, you know, an extra $150 on top of it, and you're getting this, it's pretty good. And that even goes with the previous Umidigi phone I looked at, the Power 3. That is still a great phone, but I think you might want to steer towards the S5 Pro, considering it's got better specs and performance, and I think they've ironed out the kinks with the speaker issue and all that sort of thing with this. But at the end of the day, it really depends what you, the consumer, want. If you want something that's priced appropriately and it's been recommended, then absolutely, just don't go buy a random device that has no reviews or anything like that you know nothing about. I know that Umidigi seems to be a random brand out of the blue, but don't forget, Xiaomi was once a brand that was just came out of nowhere sort of thing, and now they make some of the best devices on the market, and maybe Umidigi one day will be up there with the big boys, but who knows at this point in time. They're doing some great things, and I can't wait to see what they have in store for the future. But at this point in time, I think I've covered everything I need to cover on this device, but if you need any clarification with this, let me know down in the comments, and even if you own an S5 Pro, let me know down in the comments and let me know how this device has served you. Huge thank you to Umidigi for sending me this sample to review. I really do appreciate it, and if you are interested in this phone, check out the links below. One of them is an affiliate link, and I will own a small percentage of commission for any phones sold through that link. Just thought I'd let you all know, just being upfront honest. And then there's just a link straight to Umidigi's website for this device, which you can have a look at. I can't wait to tear this phone down and see what we'll find inside. I really want to check out how the pop-up camera is working and, the cameras and all that sort of thing. I really want to check that all out. So hopefully we'll find some interesting stuff in this device. That is going to wrap up this in-depth review of the Umidigi S5 Pro. I really hope this review was interesting, entertaining, and maybe educational. And this gives me a good look into devices that I normally wouldn't have a look at on this channel, so I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know the duration may be a bit long, but the timestamps provided will help you skip along to wherever you need. Big thank you to Umidigi, really do appreciate it, and I can't wait to see what phones they have in store for the future. As always, be good people, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next video. I still love the rear cover, man, that is so awesome. Good stuff. If you like this content, feel free to leave a like or a dislike if you didn't. Thanks heaps for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.